Well, we are here, almost in one piece. Hello everyone, nice to see you back, and we are having some technical problems today, for which I apologise. I've had a few malfunctions. I love that word. If you're going to start your English Addict live stream, always start with a good word, and that is a pretty good word. We have a malfunction. Great. Here we are, yes, we are back together. It's English Addict, and I have just crawled from my sickbed. It was almost my deathbed, but I'm going to just say that it was my sickbed. Yes, we are live from the birthplace of the English language, which just happens to be England. Yeah, I'm dropping frames. I'm dropping frames. I'm dropping frames. There's nothing worse than dropping frames. We might actually have to abandon this already. I'm having difficulty with my live stream, unfortunately. You might notice that the picture is a little weird as I'm moving, and there would appear to be a slight problem, but I'm going to try and deal with it as we go along today. Here we go. Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? Are you feeling good? I suppose that's the biggest question of all today. Are you feeling okay? I really hope so. I can't begin to tell you what a terrible week I've had. I've been sick in bed. I haven't moved from my bed for almost a week. If you remember last weekend, I tried to come on. I didn't stay on for very long. I was here with Steve last Sunday, but unfortunately I was so ill, as you may have known or heard. I've got COVID. I'm over it now, I suppose, but I still have all of the effects of it, unfortunately. And to say the least, it has made me feel unwell. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to go on about it because I know everyone in the world at the moment has their own problems. You have your problems. There are many people suffering far worse things than I am. So I'm not going to go on about it too much. But we are here again, and yes, it is English Addict with my computer almost working. I had a big scare yesterday. My computer suddenly stopped working completely, absolutely, completely stopped working. And I don't know why. In fact, it was so bad. I had a black screen with the old-fashioned writing that you used to see on 1970s computers. That's how bad it was. It was saying there was no boot drive. That's pretty serious when your computer is telling you that there is literally nothing inside it. With some lovely 1970s style text. You know your computer is not very well. So I've tried to fix it. I think it's about 85% working today. So if there is a problem, if things do go wrong, please bear with me, but I have been in bed for the past 7 days. So this is now my 14th day of suffering from COVID. And I didn't realise just how bad it would make you feel. I've heard a lot of people have suffered in various ways. Some people just a little, some people quite a lot. And of course, as we know, a lot of people did succumb to the virus as well. So I suppose I should count myself lucky, like many people now who are actually getting through it. But it isn't much fun. That's all I'm going to say. It is not much fun. So I hope you are okay. I hope everything is all right because, yes, we have made it to the end of another week. I haven't been with you at all since last weekend, for which I apologise, but I have a good reason. I was feeling very, very sick. Yes, it's Sunday. like my chicken impression there? I'm sorry about that. I tried my best. Yes, here we are. It is English Addict coming to you live from the birthplace of the English language. I hope you are having a good day. My computer is not working very well. It's probably my fault. Although I did wake up yesterday and find also lots of copyright claims on many of my videos. Not the best thing to wake up to in the morning when you're feeling like, well, you feel like your chest is going to explode. So a lot of things going on at the moment. I'm sure we have lots of news to catch up with. What about you? How was your week? Was it a good week? Are you feeling okay? Maybe you have had your own experience with COVID that you might want to share. Maybe some advice or some tips of how to get over having this terrible, disgusting illness. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't begin to tell you. This morning I was in the kitchen, and I won't do it, but I will do the action, but you won't hear the actual words. I stood in the kitchen this morning, and all I said again and again was, that's what I said. I hope you didn't hear that. I was so frustrated. I can't begin to tell you how frustrated I felt this morning. Oh dear. Anyway, we are here, live, almost, even though I am dropping frames. It's not a good thing, by the way. If you know about live streaming, you will know that dropping frames is always bad. It's never a good thing. You never want to drop your frames. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. Hello to the live chat. Nice to see you all here. Who is here and who was first? I suppose I should say hello to... Oh, very interesting. Luis Mendez. Nice to see you back. You were first. Also, we have Vitas and Palmyra, and also Sandra, Maria, and Claudia. In fact, lots of people arrived at the same time. Also, we had Beatrice, Mika arrived at exactly the same time as everyone else. So congratulations to all of you. You were first on today's live chat. Thank you very much for spending some time with me. Oh, my goodness. I'm not sure if this was a good idea, by the way, because my computer is only working at 85%. I'm only working at 15.5%, and we don't even have Mr. Steve yet, and he is working at, I think, around about 60%. So between all of us, maybe we can get a semi-decent show today. I will try my best anyway. Hello also to Marwa, or should I say Marwa. So nice to see you here today. Also we have Maria, also Vittoria. Hello Vittoria, nice to see you back as well. I crawled out of my bed this morning. Have you seen the thumbnail for today's live stream? That was me this morning. I took that picture. That's what I looked like this morning when I was climbing out of my deathbed. I am back from the dead, so to speak. Figuratively, in fact. Today we are talking about speaking figuratively. Did you see what I did there? I call that a segue, because you move into a subject or you move towards something that you want to talk about. I think I did a very good job of that, even though now I have drawn far too much attention to it, if I was honest with you. Today we are looking at metaphors and also speaking figuratively. We do it a lot. You might be surprised how often we use figurative speech or metaphors when we want to express ourselves. Quite often when we want to express something, maybe an emergency, or maybe a feeling that we have, or maybe if we want to express a difficult situation, we will often use metaphors, figurative speech, quite often in literature. In our everyday lives, we often use figurative speech when we want to express something, we want to get our message across. We want to really express clearly how we feel. So quite often we will use figurative speech when we are doing that. Hello to Bruno. Hello, Bruno. Nice to see you back here as well. It is a strange one today because this morning I was in bed and I wasn't sure if I was going to do this or not because I felt so ill. But I've crawled out of bed, I've had a wash, I even had a shave, just for you. Look at the trouble. Look at the work that I'm going to. Just to make myself look presentable. Even though underneath I feel like crap. Basically. Hello, Victoria. Hello, Monincia. Hello, Monincia. Monincia, I haven't seen you for a long time. Nice to see you back. Of course, April was supposed to be a busy month for me because we were going to do lots of special live streams. Of course, the dreaded lurgy, coronavirus came along. First of all, Mr. Steve caught it, and then I got it, and I've had it for the past 2 weeks. But I think the virus has actually gone now, but I am left with all of the damage. So it's all around here. It's in my chest, in my throat, and everything is really sore and painful. But as I said at the start of today's live stream, it could always be worse. It can always be worse. Life can always be worse. We often think that we are the only people suffering. But in the world, there are people suffering all over the place. Far worse things than we are. Far worse. Hello to Sandra. Thank you very much for your messages, by the way. I haven't been able to read all of them because I've only been looking at my email this morning. And I know I have a lot of messages that I need to catch up on. But honestly, I've been in bed. I haven't moved. Mr. Steve will tell you just how bad I've been this week. We also have Beatrice again. Thank you very much for saying hello to me. So many people here today. Very nice to see you. Thank you, Farial Mustafa. Nice to see you here as well. So we are talking about metaphors, figurative speech, and it is amazing how often we do it. We do like to, I want to say, exaggerate. Another great word, if you exaggerate, it means you are making something seem more than it really is. You exaggerate. Sometimes people who feel unwell might exaggerate. And I'm not talking about me because this is real. This is genuine. You are looking now at genuine suffering. Honestly. Hello, Kawil Online. Hello to you, watching in Somalia. Nice to see you here as well. I'm not sure if my voice is going to last today. I'm not sure how long I'm going to have my voice. This is the most that I've used my voice since last Sunday. So, if I have any emergencies today, if anything goes wrong with my voice, I have my special button on standby just in case anything goes wrong with my health. So there you can see it. So that is what you will see today if there are any problems with my health during today's live stream. But I will try to stay with you as long as possible. I will. Monicia says, Mr. Duncan, COVID had finished me off and I had no strength for anything. Thank you, Monisa. Yes, it's strange. I've noticed because many of Mr. Steve's colleagues from his work have caught COVID over the past couple of months, and some of them have carried on working. They haven't been at all ill, which I'm slightly jealous of. If I was honest, I'm a little bit jealous of that. Whilst others have gone to bed and they've stayed in bed for 10 days, unable to move, and then even afterwards they still feel weak and unwell. So I suppose I'm not as bad as that. I'm not that bad. However, it's not pleasant. I will be honest with you. I still feel a little strange standing here in front of you today, if I was honest with you. Hello also to Michael Labus. Mr. Duncan, you look very well after such a difficult week. I only hope it's only a false impression, but you have got better indeed. Well, I look okay, but underneath I am suffering slightly. It's all here. This is where it is. It's here. Pain, burning, sensitivity. And it doesn't help because I also suffer from asthma as well. So it's two things going on, to be honest with you. Yes, Mr. Steve is here, even though he is missing from the thumbnail on today's live stream. We do have Mr. Steve. He will be here with us in around about 7 or 8 minutes, catching up on what has been happening in Mr. Steve's world. I will give you a clue. Not much. About as much as what has been going on in my life, to be honest, because we've been both suffering a little bit. But Mr. Steve is much better, so he is a little bit ahead of me by about 3 days. So I didn't feel ill until around 3 or 4 days after Mr. Steve. So I think I am a little bit behind Steve. So maybe I have another 2 or 3 days of this, and then hopefully I will be feeling all right. But the worst part of this is Steve has taken some holiday time. So we were going to have a little bit of a holiday break. We were going to go away somewhere and do some live streaming. But we couldn't because we got COVID. So instead of having a lovely holiday, we've been here coughing and sneezing all over the place. You might be buffering today. If you are buffering, I do apologise. There is a slight problem today with the computer. I don't know why. There shouldn't be, but there is, for which I apologise. Hello also to Alessandra again. Hello to you. I don't feel too bad. In my head, I feel okay. I've lost my sense of smell and taste, although my taste is now slowly coming back. So I can once again enjoy all the beautiful, lovely food that Mr. Steve has been cooking this week to keep me strong and healthy. But besides that, it's just my chest. This is where it's all happening now. This is where it's all going on, right here. In fact, I can't believe that I've been with you for 24 minutes and I haven't coughed once. I can't believe it. Hello. Thank you, Bella. Oh, hello, Bella. Hello, Bella. I'm going to give you a special hello. Hello, Bella. It seems like a long time since I've seen you. Hi, Bella. Oh, my goodness. Nice to see you back as well. Of course, today a lot of people are talking about France and the French election. Lots of elections taking place. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Australia is having an election as well. And also there is another country that I can't remember. There is another country having a big election. Of course, we have our local elections coming up next month, and lots of people are really nervous about that because we don't know what's going to happen. But today we have the second vote for the French election for the new president. Of course, defending his position, President Macron. Oh, I thought I pronounced that very well. Did you like my French pronunciation then? It's very good. Very, very nice. Thank you very much. And also Marine Le Pen is also taking part in today's election. So a lot of people talking about that. Hello, Max. Max Poe is also here today. Thank you, Max, for joining us. We are talking all about figurative speech today. Figurative speech. How to use figurative speech. How to express yourself using metaphors. We often say that a person is speaking metaphorically. So if you are speaking in a certain way, maybe you are trying to make an emphasis on something, maybe the way you feel or a situation that is taking place. I might say that I felt as if I was dying this week. Of course I wasn't, but it felt like it. So that, I suppose, is a type of metaphor. I was saying I was dying, but I wasn't. I was just really, really unwell. But it is often the case where we do like to use metaphors and also maybe slight exaggeration as well when we are describing things. Figurative speech is what we are talking about today when Mr. Steve joins me, and he will be with us in a few moments' time. A quick break, and then I'll be back, and then we will have a little look at one of my full English lessons. All of that coming up right after this. I'm taking a deep breath and I'm saying hello, welcome back, and this is English Addict on Sunday. It's a strange one today because I have a slight problem with my computer. If you are buffering at the moment, I do apologise. I don't know why. I suppose I should have restarted my computer before doing this, but I didn't, and maybe that is the reason why. Sometimes they often say that if you have a problem with your computer, if anything is going wrong with your computer, you should always restart the computer and then open your programs again. Rather terrifying yesterday. I can't believe I was staring at a black screen and my computer was completely dead. It was on, but all I was getting was this old-fashioned writing on the screen. It looked like something from many, many years ago. And it was saying, "You have no boot drive. You are missing your boot. Apparently that's not a good thing. So I had to spend yesterday afternoon trying to get it working. And, well, here we are. At around about 85% today we are working with our computer. And as I said earlier, I think I am around about 65%. So still not very good. Mr. Steve will be with us in a few moments. But as I mentioned, I do have lots of video lessons on my YouTube channel. Many people don't realise it, but I do. I have lots and lots of video lessons. And here is an example of the sort of thing I like to do with my recorded lessons. This is an excerpt from one of my full English lessons. This is full English number 21. And then we will be back with Mr. Steve. Don't go away. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? I hope so. Oh, I haven't said that for such a long time. Do you remember when I used to introduce every video lesson like that? Anyway, welcome to another full English lesson. Yes, I have decided to make another one, just in case you were thinking that the previous one was the last ever. Of course, the name of the game is Teaching English in England. That is where I am. England also happens to be the birthplace of... We are actually here, but unfortunately we are now dropping.
Hello everyone.
We're dropping so many frames at the moment.
I don't know what that means, Mr. Duncan. It's all very technical.
Yeah.
But hello, welcome to you all. I hope you've had a good week, and we have survived. I expect Mr. Duncan's been telling you about his coughing.
I'm not sure about surviving. I wouldn't say that this is surviving. It's scraping through.
Yes, we've had a hard time. But anyway, enough of that. I've had a week off. I wish I had a holiday, but I wish I'd actually not had a holiday and just gone off sick, because that would have been a better use of my holiday.
Well, you know what happens?
You can't do that.
You try to make plans, but you can never plan for everything. If only we were all psychic. If only we could all see the future. And then nothing bad would ever happen, and everything would be lovely and fluffy and ever so nice.
But it would be so boring, though, wouldn't it? If you knew what was happening, it would be a bit boring.
I don't know. If I knew that you were going to come back and give me COVID, then I think maybe I would have tried to avoid that one. So here we are then. Mr. Steve is back with us. We have a few technical problems today. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's happening. Although I did have a slight problem with my computer yesterday when it would literally not do anything.
Yes.
It was just a black screen.
You spent most of yesterday, in fact, I would say most of yesterday, trying to fix your computer.
Certainly the time that I was out of bed yesterday, which was the afternoon. But at least we're here almost. So after this is finished, I'm going to go back to my computer and try to sort this problem out. I think I should have just restarted it, to be honest. That often puts things right.
Thank you for your hellos. Beyond awake. I like that. Beyond awake. I'd like to be beyond awake. I.e., that sounds like you're very alive.
Yes.
I love that name. It sounds like are you taking anything to make you more awake, beyond awake? Is it caffeine? What is it? Or are you just so high on life that you just feel great all the time? Whatever it is, please tell us.
Yes. What is your secret of always being up there, hyper and happy. Please tell Please tell us your secret. We want to know what it is. I was looking the other day. I was feeling so ill. I was trying to find all of your father's pills. We've got a box. Do you remember? We kept a lot of your dad's pills, didn't we?
I didn't know you were looking for them.
I was searching for the morphine. We've got a box of morphine.
You weren't really.
No, not really.
I was going to say, I think they're about, probably about 10 years out of date now.
Okay.
We probably shouldn't be keeping old medicines in the house.
Yes, especially morphine.
Well, I had, because my dad had a terminal illness and had to be taking strong painkillers towards the end of his life. Morphine was one of them.
I was desperately searching for boxes of morphine.
And
I felt like Sherlock Holmes.
Let's just say I kept them. My mother wanted to get rid of them. And, of course, what you're supposed to do is take them to a pharmacy for them to destroy them. But I just didn't. I just kept them. And now they're all out of date. So, I mean, they're probably worth thousands on the black market, on the drug black market, Mr. Duncan.
Well, not out of date ones.
Yes, but I mean, you wouldn't tell. They'd buy them anyway, wouldn't they? A druggie would buy them, even if they were out of date. They'd probably still work.
Okay.
I don't know how. Anyway, we're not going to try that, Mr. Duncan. Don't forget, you were sick from 2 codemols. And that's only got codeine in it.
This is suddenly very boring.
I expect somebody might come on and ask us to send them to them. For a fee.
Steve, shall we move on?
I like coffee, says Beyond Awake. Yes. It's great. Coffee's great.
Can I say good night to Mika? Mika was staying just to see you.
Really?
But now Mika is going to bed because she has a very early start tomorrow. So see you later,
Mika.
Thank you, Mika, for joining us from Japan. I hope you are okay there and have a pleasant dream. Hello, Partridge. Partridge is here as well. He's decided to flutter down and land on the live stream to say hello as well. Marcia. Lovely. Hello, Marcia. Hello, also Saturino is here. A lot of people suddenly joining us. I think some people are curious just to find out whether or not we are still alive. Because I did disappear last weekend. I vanished, even though I was supposed to be with you all week. But I've been in bed. I felt like I was at death's door.
He was quite bad.
I was. I can't remember the last time. I felt so ill, to be honest. But here we are anyway. Let's not dwell on that. So what about you, Steve? Anything fun and exciting happening? I noticed you're in the garden repairing the heron, our little plastic heron.
Yes.
Steve went into the garden. He went to the little plastic heron and you moved it and its head fell off.
Well, it is. It's been in the sun for a number of years, and the plastic has gone very brittle. And it fell over last year, and the head fell off because they've got long necks, haven't they? Long necks, and the plastic is very brittle.
Yeah.
So it easily breaks because the sun has broken down the plastic, and it goes very, very fragile.
Brittle. I like that
word.
Brittle. If something is brittle, it means it breaks or cracks very easily. Brittle.
Yes. So you can apply that phrase to materials, but also to people. You can say, I feel very brittle today. You can say, oh, yes, I'm brittle. I'm easily broken today. Maybe emotionally you feel very brittle.
Yes.
I like your sort of not sure about that expression, Mr. Duncan. But you can't say, I feel brittle today. You can say that.
Okay, I've never heard anyone say that.
Yes.
Fragile, maybe.
Fragile, brittle. Yes, I could be easily broken today with a nasty phrase.
I remember growing up, there was a horrible illness that affected young children. brittle bone disease. You never hear about that now, do you?
No, you
No.
don't.
I think it might have had something to do with sort of vitamins or maybe certain minerals, or maybe if the mother was not taking all of her vitamins, maybe something like that. But I do remember brittle bone disease. It seemed to be mentioned a lot during the 1980s, but you never really hear of it anymore.
You don't actually. There's a mysterious liver disease that children are getting at the moment.
Okay.
Young children are getting this strange liver disease, and they're not quite sure why it's happening. I think it's a virus, but it seems to be on the increase. Certainly in the UK. I'm not sure about other parts of Europe.
Not another one.
It's like a liver disease. Well, it is a liver disease.
Can we not have any more epidemics or illnesses or viruses? Can we have a truce? Hello, Mother Nature, if you're watching, can we please have no more nasty surprises, no more chicken flu, no more swine flu? I think that's what I caught from Mr. Steve, actually. I don't think it was COVID. I think it was swine flu.
Oh, Victoria, yes. It is a mysterious hepatitis.
Ah.
That is that children seem to be getting.
Yeah.
It's some kind of virus, I think.
Hello, Adriano. Can I say hello to Adriano, who has sent a donation? Adriano Guedes, who says, hello, and you guys are awesome. Thank you very much. I'm not sure how awesome we are today because we're not feeling great. We're not having the best month, to be honest. I can't wait for this month to end.
Monicia said earlier that she had a very hard time with COVID. No energy, no strength. I think that is an affliction. We've just got this sort of cough that's been left, but never mind. We have to battle on. That's why I decided to go out in the garden. I'm just going to battle on anyway. Because I think sometimes after an illness, you have to get your strength back. You have to sort of push your body a bit, and it sort of jump starts it into repair mode.
Okay.
I think so. I've been out in the garden digging. I've moved a plant today, Mr. Duncan, that was in the way.
I noticed also, Steve, that there are now a couple of fences that have blown over, so we have to do some major repairs in the garden.
Major. I need your help, though, Mr. Duncan, because one of the panels has fallen out. It's too big and heavy for me to manhandle on my own.
Okay.
Manhandle. There's no such phrase as woman handle.
No.
Well, there is, but that one might get you into trouble.
Yes. Maybe that's more of a Bill Murray thing.
If you manhandle something, it means that you're using sort of force to move something.
Yes. You have to use a lot of strength to move it.
Yes. So
you're pulling and you're pushing.
Lifting.
You have to manhandle that thing.
The implication is that only men could do it. It's obviously a phrase from years and years ago. But yes, it's probably going to be a banned phrase. I would imagine that people will just say it's a misogynist term, but we're still going to use it. So I need your help to manhandle. In other words, lift and reposition the fence panel back between the posts.
Yes, okay.
Because it's too much work for me on my... Well, I can't get my hands. It's too wide.
I regret bringing this up. Hey,
I'm
Steve.
just using English. Do you
know a few days ago we had some lovely cattle arrive? Would you like to see them? I actually went outside this morning and I tried to film the cattle. And to be honest with you, I thought I did quite a good job of it. So here they are. You might notice them in a moment. I have a feeling that this video clip is the reason why I'm dropping frames. So there they are.
Nobody knows what you mean when you say dropping frames.
They are back, baby. The cows are back, and there they were this morning at the back of the house. So they've arrived again a few days ago, and now we have cows at the back of the house. And don't they look lovely?
They're very timid.
And I have to be honest, the weather is lovely today. We are having the most amazing weather. And you can see there are 5 cows. I think actually they might be bulls, or they might be a combination of both, you see. I think they might be cows and bulls. Oh. So there they are looking. They are a little bit scared, though, aren't they?
They're very scared. Yes, you just and I've tried going outside just to say hello, and they just see you at the window and they run off.
Yeah.
They are very timid cows. They're the most timid cows we've ever had. Louis the 17th says, "I don't manhandle women. I just mansplain."
Ah, yes.
That's a good phrase.
Yes.
That's a good phrase.
I think mansplain is worse, though. I think that means when a man is patronising a woman by explaining something, maybe something that's simple to a woman, and the man is going into a lot of detail as if the lady can't understand it.
Condescending.
Yes, a little patronising towards the woman.
I don't think it's done deliberately, is it? It's just that some ladies don't like to be told by a man. It might seem to them like they're being
steady,
mansplained.
Yes. Of course, the other one is manspreading. Have you heard of that one?
I haven't heard of that one.
Manspreading is where you are sitting on public transport and the man opposite you is sitting with his legs wide apart.
Oh, yes.
I don't know what's wrong with that, to be honest.
They want a bigger space around them.
Yes. So they try to take up lots of room. Manspreading.
Well, men do that to each other.
Do they?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's a form of aggression. It's a form of assertion. Men like to some men like to assert themselves around other men, and one of the ways they do that is to physically expand their space around them, as you say, by having their legs right out wide open, or they will. Yes, if you're sitting next to somebody, sometimes they won't. Instead of having their legs straight ahead, they'll have them right out, so and try to squash your space. They want to be in your space, and it's a form of aggression.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
I think it's
definitely
just.
A form of aggression.
It's just, especially if the man is large. I think if you are a fat man, I think it's very hard to avoid.
Well, I'm on about when you do things deliberately.
I know that, Steve.
As opposed
I'm just
to
using another reason why it might happen.
Yes, but sometimes you're sitting in a cinema, for example, and somebody next to you, they'll be spread out everywhere. They'll push their elbows on a plane, and they'll deliberately do it. It's a form of aggression to try and dominate you.
Although, to be honest, I'm going to be honest, I've had women do that to me on aeroplanes. So it's not necessarily men that do that on aeroplanes. I've had women do that where they try to take lots of space up next to you on the aeroplane, and then suddenly you have this battle going on because both of you are trying to get the armrest.
Yes.
It's very annoying, but I suppose there are many words and phrases you can use. So I think my frame rate has gone back to normal because of that video that I had in my computer. I've just taken it off my little playlist, and now everything's gone more back to normal. So that's good. So I think I know now what to do. I am no longer dropping frames. I am no longer dropping my frames.
Right, yes. Rosa says, what does mansplain mean? I think we've explained that, hopefully.
Yes.
It's like...
to over-explain something to a woman because you think she can't understand it.
So it's like...
you're explaining it in a patronising way.
The splain is
hello,
like...
dear. Hello, this is a computer. Do you know how to use it? You have to press the buttons, and then the thing at the front, that's the screen. Okay. So maybe a man would do that to a woman. I mean, that is a very extreme example. But you know what I mean.
Now let me show you how you drive this car. That sort of thing, a sort of patronising way. I don't think it's always done deliberately, but some people don't like that.
Let's be honest. Sometimes men can be absolute jerks. They can, but then sometimes women can also be a little nasty as well and a little annoying. So I think we're all capable of it. Even Steve sometimes. He looks lovely and cute and innocent, but even Mr. Steve can drive the sanest person to despair.
It's my temper that I've got to control.
I feel better now. My frame rates have returned.
We don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Duncan, and we're not really interested. I'm sorry.
Well, the thing is, if you drop frames, that means everyone out there has to start buffering. So I hope now you don't have to buffer. I hope your buffering has stopped because my frames have returned. It's great.
Well, whatever that is, Mr. Duncan, all we want to do is just watch.
We are talking about ways of expressing ourselves. It is common for people to exaggerate when they are talking, especially if you want to get across a feeling or a meaning, or maybe you want to get some sympathy for an illness that you are recovering.
I wonder who might be doing that.
That you are recovering from, you see?
Yes, well, that's it, you see. You do that a lot at work, don't you? If you're feeling sick and you want a sick day, then you always exaggerate your illness, don't you, to get more sympathy from co-workers.
Yes, I think it's better. It's better. There is. Have you ever called your work? Have you ever had to make a phone call and maybe you can't go to work because you're feeling ill? And I'm always aware, if I do it, or when I did it in the past, I always tried to make sure that I sounded ill. Because you don't want to sound too well when you phone up. Oh, hello. Hello, it's Duncan here. I'm afraid I'm feeling sick today. I can't come in. You always sort of prepare yourself. You get your voice into a certain tone. Hello. Hello, it's Duncan here. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling very well today. Yeah, unfortunately, I've injured my ankle. And then they will think, well, how has that affected your voice? But you have to sound ill. That's the rule. If you phone your work to tell them you're sick, you have to sound sick. You can't sound too happy on the phone or else they won't believe you.
We need to give somebody some applause.
Oh, okay.
We have somebody new watching.
Oh.
Dat or Dart, not sure how to pronounce your name, a new student of this class. Welcome to you.
Hello. I think maybe you are watching in Vietnam. Can I say welcome from myself and also Mr. Steve? Welcome, Dat, watching in Vietnam.
We like to welcome newbies.
We like to welcome all of the newbies and all of the oldies and all of the others in between.
And thank you for making a contribution to the live chat, which we love. We love people making comments in the live chat because it enables us to talk more about English and to discuss subjects that you want to talk about.
It gives us something to talk about.
Belarusia, look, surprise, surprise.
Hello, Claudia. Claudia.
You say this every week and yet... Anyway. Is cooking, of course.
Oh.
Claudia's always cooking and having noodles with tomato sauce and lots of garlic.
I think some people are celebrating the Easter weekend, you see.
That is true, yes.
That is why.
Always something different. Claudia is always cooking something different. So you have a big expanse of different recipes that you can use, which is good.
You might say it's Claudia's repertoire.
Yes.
Your repertoire.
That's the word I was searching for.
The things you do that are part of your performance, the things that you like to do or to show, your repertoire. It's a French word, and I think it does mean your actions, the things you do, your acts. I think it does.
Talking of cooking.
Oh, yes.
And relating that to the rising cost of energy.
Oh, okay.
Particularly electricity.
Topical.
Electricity prices have, in the UK, virtually doubled. At least doubled, I think. Energy prices have for electricity, and they probably are in lots of different countries around the world.
Okay.
And there's a big topic at the moment is, how to save energy at home.
Yes.
Well, one of the ways I've discovered and read about and have started doing
Collect your farts.
is to use a slow cooker instead of the main oven on the cooker.
I thought you were my slow cooker.
So I was reading that if you put something in the oven,
Okay.
it will cost you about £1.50 to heat up that big space, because it's something like 5 kilowatts or something, a big oven.
£1.50 total.
Yes, every time you cook something.
That's not very much.
Well, yes, but if you do that every day or every other day,
Yes.
that's one of the main contributors to your electricity bill. Whereas if you use a little slow cooker, which I have, which my mother gave me years ago, it's only 150 watts.
Okay.
So it uses like only a quarter or less than a quarter of the energy. Yes, it's on for longer, but because it's a low wattage, you can cook the same meal for a quarter of the cost. So we're using that. We've used it twice this week.
Yes. Now, this is something your mother gave
Yes.
to us a couple of years ago, and we've only used it a couple of times. So Steve has started using this amazing machine.
It's such a simple machine.
It just heats up your food very slowly, so it cooks the food over a very long period of time, but it does it more efficiently and cheaper as well. It doesn't cost as much. And yes, you can make casseroles,
Yes.
stew.
Well, I made a beef stew
Yes, it was lovely.
in the week,
And also some dumplings.
and I put dumplings in it. You can just shove everything in and leave it on low, and 4 or 5 hours later, you've got this lovely meal, and it's much less effort than cooking as normal. And because there's only 2 of us, and it's a big pot, you've got some left for the next day.
Very nice.
And I'm just going to use it all the time. In fact, you can cook whole chickens in there, apparently. I've got some vegetarian dishes I'm going to try. And so we're going to cut our electricity bill dramatically,
Yes.
I think, by using this.
Yes. Maybe also we will have to do our live streams in the dark, because I have to use some lights, you see, in the studio.
Yes.
So maybe we will just be here using candles instead. So maybe you will just be able to see our faces lit by candlelight.
Belarusia says we are all invited to her meal.
Oh, okay then. What is it though?
Figuratively,
Figuratively. Oh yes, not really.
not literally,
Yes.
figuratively.
I'm starving. That's a good one, you see? So there it is. That's a good figurative speech example. I'm starving. How many times do we say that? I'm starving. I'm going to pass out. I'm going to faint. I'm starving to death. But you're not. But that's a very good example of figurative speech, where you are saying something, but you're not really starving to death. You just feel hungry. So that's a good example. We will be looking at that soon, by the way.
Right, that's
Isaac,
brilliant.
can I say hello to Isaac Newton? Can I say hello to you? I hope today's live stream is not proving to be too heavy. Did you see what I did there?
No.
Yes. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope you are here enjoying everything that's happening on today's live stream, even though we are both recovering, as you can see and hear. We're both recovering at the moment from coronavirus.
Pedro's here. Hello, Pedro.
Pedro, shall I? Pedro Belmont is here today.
We like to say hello to everybody, of course.
Yes,
Not just Pedro,
but everyone.
but everyone. But especially Pedro. No.
Michael Labus says the increasing price of energy is the cost of long-term fight against global warming. And I think, actually, it's very interesting how these two things never seem to meet together. we talk about energy costs and then we talk about environmental issues, but we never really meet in the middle and talk about those two things as a combination. So does environmentally friendly energy necessarily mean that energy will be cheaper? Oh, I think I've just blown everyone's mind there.
Well, I don't think so. But anyway, the electricity costs in the UK are 20% higher than they should be because of the switch to wind power and all this sort of thing.
Yes.
Because they're expensive to set up and produce. So, yes, that is one of the reasons, definitely, Michael, thank you for that, as to why the cost of certainly electricity is going up, because there is a tax or a subsidy or a tax on it to pay for the development of all this. And so we are paying a lot more than we would have done if we'd kept the old coal-powered power stations, power stations,
but that's
which
it.
Were cheaper to run.
Yes, but that's it. That's the reason why places like China still have hundreds and hundreds of coal-powered power stations, because it's incredibly cheap to run. But I have my own vision. My vision of the future is something I haven't heard anyone mention yet, and it's nothing to do with collecting your farts. I know what you're thinking out there. I think we should all have little nuclear reactors at the back of our houses. Just small ones, not big ones, not like those big places you see with the big domes on top. Nothing like that. But I think in the future we will all have our own little nuclear reactor next to our house. And it's very small. It's just a very small scale. So everyone will have one of these, because you only need a little bit of nuclear fuel and a little bit of fusion reaction. So everyone could have their own little nuclear reactor. Of course, I know what you're going to say. Before anyone says it, I know what you're going to say. What happens if there's an accident? What happens if there is something? Well, yeah, there is that. I didn't think about that bit.
Well, they are going to develop smaller nuclear reactors, much smaller ones, which are much easier to maintain than the large ones. I think it's Rolls-Royce in this country is developing these. I think I might be wrong in the company. Much smaller ones, sort of, that will just power a town.
Yes.
Or something, because in the nuclear reactors in, for example, a submarine, a nuclear-powered submarine, these are very safe and easy to maintain small reactors which you can use to power a town, and they're going to develop lots of these. Of course, nuclear energy has been out of fashion for a long time because of accidents that have happened with various power plants, and it's been out of favour, but now it's becoming in vogue again.
Yeah, well, Germany.
Well,
a large amount of German.
No, French.
French. Oh,
French,
sorry.
French. Something like 70% of.
I beg your pardon.
Of France's energy. I think it's 70%. Lewis will probably be able to update us on that. Comes from nuclear power.
Well, strangely, we have one that's being built, and it's going to take years and years to build it.
Well, this is the problem. They take 10 years to build.
And then once you've built it, it takes about another 7 years to actually start the process of generating the electricity. So even if you make a plan to build a nuclear power plant, you have 10 years to build it, and then another 7 years to actually get everything hot.
Well, that's the trouble with the big ones, the vast ones. But if you can build these smaller ones, apparently they're much quicker to sort of commission.
Yes.
And to get commission means to get them working, to get them up. And once you've built them, there's a time between once you've built them to them actually working, and that's the commissioning period. And the smaller ones probably look like they're going to be a solution to, because France is looking very good because they've got all these nuclear reactors. and I'm sure it's 70%. I'm hoping Lewis will, or somebody else from France, will tell us.
Okay.
And so they're not
move.
so reliant on energy from, less favourable countries, shall we say.
You're talking of less favourable countries, if I'm not mistaken, the one that's being built on the south coast of England is actually Chinese. Is that still happening?
Don't know.
Is it still the Chinese
I don't think we're going to allow that.
who are building that power plant?
Well, you should never let a foreign power...
I don't care about foreign powers, but you have to choose very carefully who is building your nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
But I know for a while, I'm sure it was China that was going to build our power plant. And the thing is, I remember also that they said it was an experimental power plant. So the Chinese may or may not be building an experimental nuclear power plant on the south coast of England, which is great. I don't know about you, but I can sleep much safer in my bed at night knowing
We don't
that.
want foreign investment with things like power
Yes.
generation.
Okay.
That's got to be done by the country you're in. That gives you security. I can't believe that we ever thought about doing anything as stupid as letting a foreign
Steve,
power
that's not what I-
control our energy
Yes.
production. It's
Who-
lunacy.
Steve, that's not what actually I'm talking about.
I'm getting on my hobby horse.
Yes, no one wants to hear that, by the way, including me. Hello. Oh, we just had Louis the 14th.
Yes.
Louis the 14th. Louis the 17th. Thank you for your donation as well. Thank you very much. Sorry, I missed that because we were so deep in conversation about power and energy. But yes, maybe in the future, maybe when you go outside, there might be a little glowing nuclear reactor next to your back door. At night, you can hear it.
I don't think, yes. That's the thing. I think you've got to be self-reliant in energy, haven't you? I think don't even rely on your own country to produce power for you. Try and do it yourself in some way. Cut down on what you use. Maybe get a few solar panels. They're coming down in cost.
Yes.
And when they come down a bit more, I'm going to invest, Mr. Duncan.
Please don't do that.
Well, the thing is...
There is nothing more unsightly than seeing a house with lots of solar panels on the roof.
Well, it's got to be done correctly.
You are not doing your house any favours by doing that because no one wants to buy a house like that.
Well, if you do it discreetly, it can be done
Okay.
correctly. But yes.
Also, the fact that we don't have much sunshine in this country.
Well, it's a big topic at the moment, isn't it? Since the war, that everyone is now trying to look at how they produce energy, and it's become a big political debate in countries.
Amongst other things, including bread. Apparently, this is the one that's worrying me. I don't really care very much about oil and gas. What I'm worried about is my bread, my lovely tiger bread, and all of the wheat that apparently is produced in that part of the world.
Yes.
And suddenly there's going to be very little of it.
I think something like Ukraine produces something like a third of the world's wheat.
Yes, they call it the wheat basket or the bread basket of the world.
Well, and also, I think Russia produces something like 80% of the fertilizer, raw ingredients for fertilizers. So that's going to be a big problem for, they're predicting all sorts of problems with food production in the next few years.
So we might see a shortage of things like bread, but also we might see things again go up in price. But bread, do not take away my bread, please.
Well, in the UK, because a huge, I don't know what the percentage is, of cooking oils, I think specifically sunflower oil, comes from Ukraine. Supermarkets in the UK have already started rationing how many bottles of cooking oil you can buy, and that's as a direct consequence of what's going on.
But I suppose the good thing there is we have a lot of production of our own local oil, sort of with rapeseed. In fact, you can see it today outside. There
Well,
it is.
that's it. You see, there's going to have to be a transition away
Yes.
from all sorts of things, a realignment of where we get our commodities from.
So if you look in the distance there, you can see the yellow in the distance. That's all rapeseed. And many, many farms, especially around here over the years. See, I remember, Steve, when all you would see around here was wheat and barley being grown.
Yes.
But most of that has disappeared. Most of the farmland around here now grow rapeseed.
Well, but you see, what we can do, of course, is very easily and quickly transition to growing wheat again. If we couldn't get wheat, we could start growing it here
Yes.
instead of rapeseed oil. And so this is the whole change that's going on everywhere at the moment. Energy, commodities, a whole realignment of all the supply chains have been disrupted through COVID and now the war. Everything's going to have to be realigned and rethought out again. It's going to be a few years before the prices of everything settle back down again, I think.
Another interesting thing, it's funny, I was just having a flashback to my school days. And we did, I think it was in, I want to say geography. It may not have been geography, but I think it was geography. And we were looking at the problems that will be facing the world in the future. And one of the things that I'm not lying about this, one of the things that we talked about in one of our lessons, I still remember the teacher telling us all of this, about how gloomy things will be in the future with certain situations. And one of them was energy and the other one was food. And isn't that strange? So I know it was way back in the 1970s that the teachers were talking about that, but they said that there would be a crisis in the future in some form. They didn't know exactly how, but they knew that as certain fuels become scarce, or maybe because of political situations, such as change of governments, or, as we're seeing now, war taking place. So it's very interesting that all those years ago, I still remember sitting in the classroom hearing the teacher talk about these things, and it really did paint quite a gloomy picture.
Well, it's taken 40 years, but it's finally happened.
Yeah, here we are.
Yes, all sorts of things going. I mean, coal is a dirty word, isn't it?
It
for
is.
Environmentalists.
Literally.
But apparently we are about to approve. We haven't got any coal mines in the UK, but we're about to. I don't think we have. We're about to approve the opening of the first coal mine for about 40 years.
Yes. And most of them were closed during the 1980s and early 90s. So we've still got them. It's just that they've all been just covered with concrete. So they've vanished. But all the coal is still under the ground. We've got something like 100 years worth of coal that we can just use.
Apparently, Canada, if anyone's watching from Canada, I was reading today that Canada have something like 100 years worth of oil. Did you? That was an interesting thing. Did you know who is the largest producer of oil worldwide?
I want to say the United States.
You are right.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Everybody thinks it's, well, I thought it would be Saudi Arabia, but the United States produce about twice as much as Saudi Arabia, and yet...
And I think one of the reasons for that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I hope you forgive me. Please forgive me.
Never.
But I think one of the reasons also is there is more control over how much oil is produced in Middle Eastern countries, because it's all about making sure that the price always stays at a certain level. So if you get too much oil, the price plummets. It actually happened, didn't it? During the coronavirus pandemic, when everything was locked down.
Yes,
no one wanted oil. They had far too much of it. Everyone had oil coming out of their ears, and they were literally paying people to take the oil away. They say, please take this oil. Please have this oil. Please, no one wants it. But now, of course, we're kind of back to where we started, where oil is now, I think it's something like $140 a barrel if you're buying it on the market. So it's...
Yes. So yes, the US is apparently the largest producer. Then I think it's Saudi Arabia. Then it's Russia. But I didn't know Canada produced such a lot of oil, but they do. I think we're going to be reliant. I mean, it doesn't. Environmentalists, of course, we all want zero carbon, don't we? And
Yeah.
we want the environment to be better, but realistically, we can't do it yet.
Yes.
And as we've already discussed, the transition to these green energies, because I mean, everyone's electricity costs go up, but that's a big.
What I find interesting about this is we never look at the bigger picture. I think this is one of the problems with human beings, because we live for a very short time. Our lives are literally a flash, and we're gone. So we often look at things through that perspective of our very, very, very short lives. So we think of 20 years as being a long time, but it isn't. It's nothing. 50 years, it's just a flash. It's gone. So when we talk about having things change by a certain year, 2050, well, 2050 is not that far away. It might seem far away, but in the big picture, it's nothing. It's like next week. So really, we might be talking not actually 50 years from now or 30 years from now. We might be talking 150 years from now. So we're trying to plant the seeds now, but we can't necessarily, or we won't necessarily see the result for another 100 years. So you're kind of planning not just for the short-term future, but also the long-term. And of course, we're not very good at that. Well, human beings aren't very good at planning for 100 years ahead, because we all know that we're going to be dead. So it doesn't seem as important. I always find these things quite interesting.
Louis XVII is living forever, so.
Okay. So you can sort the problem out.
You can sort the problem out. Yeah. Of course, that's often that's one of the faults of one of the negatives or downsides of a democracy is that because you have to have elections every 4 or 5 years, the people in charge don't think far enough in the future. They're only thinking about the next 4 or 5 years to stay in power, and that is one of the problems which democracy has.
Yes, it's not perfect. No one likes democracy. Even Winston Churchill hated democracy. He hated it. He thinks it stinks. It stinks like last week's fish pie, but it's the best of all the bad things, or the bad ways of running a country. So no one really likes it, to be honest. We don't like it. We complain all the time. And I would say that we are lucky to live in a country that has so much freedom of expression and movement. But even we complain about it. It's always the way.
We're always complaining, but it could be a lot worse.
I think one of the big problems as well is when you are protesting about these things, I think you are always on very thin ice. Not literally. I'm talking figuratively. You see, that's a good one. Figuratively, you are on thin ice because you are discussing something where you might suddenly appear to be a hypocrite. So if you're driving to a protest to protest about the use of oil, quite often you will get in your car and then you drive in your car which uses oil and petrol. So you have to be. It's a very, very difficult situation, especially when you see people protesting with all of those boards, and they've painted them and designed them, and all of those things that they're using have all been either cut from trees or produced in chemical factories, quite often using plastic.
I'm optimistic. I think we will. The human race will solve all these problems with technology. I think that we'll eventually crack energy production.
Yes,
and the use of oil. It's not going to go away in our lifetimes.
No,
it will go.
That's it. That is also the point I was making.
Fusion power and things like that, which they're getting very close to.
We can only see the future in our very fleeting moments of existence. But 100 years from now, 200 years from now, no one's talking about that because it's too far away and no one will be around. So I think it's a very fascinating subject.
Yes, we'll solve it. We always have done, and we will.
Talking of figurative speech, you are on thin ice. If a person is on thin ice, they are not literally standing on thin ice, but they might be in a situation that is dangerous, or maybe something that might cause them some harm, not directly, and quite often not anything that's very harmful. But you can be on thin ice if you are going to lose an argument, or maybe you are protesting about something. So I thought it'd be interesting, Steve, to have a look at a part of English that always fascinates me. I will be honest with you, this is one of the reasons why I love the English language so much. Figurative speech, using metaphors. So sometimes these are different things. Both of these are different things, but not always. They are not always different things. But they can be also the same thing. You are using figurative speech. You are using metaphors. You are not necessarily speaking literally. So a metaphor is a form of speech where words are expressed in a non-literal way. So there are ways of expressing yourself, an action or an event, something that has happened, is happening, or might happen. However, it is not always something that is literally happening. The literal sense is the actual meaning in its accurate context. So there are ways of expressing a movement, an event, a thing that might happen or is happening, but it is not actually happening in the literal sense. So I like that. I think it's an interesting subject. For example, so here are some literal ones, Steve. He fell out of the window. That's literal. He did. He was leaning out of the window to wave to his girlfriend, and then suddenly he fell out the window. She slipped on the ice. Literally, she slipped on the ice. He stepped on a snail. Poor snail.
That's horrible, isn't it? When you know you've stepped on a snail when you hear that horrible crunching sound.
R.I.P. the snail. He stepped on a snail.
It's late at night. It's damp outside, and you walk outside and you hear that crunching sound, and you know you stepped on a snail.
Yeah, that snail is now squashed.
No way back for that snail.
There is no way back. You could have the best snail doctors on the planet, and there is no way those snail doctors or those snail surgeons are going to put that snail back together again. He's a goner, basically. So those sentences that I just showed you, I'm making myself laugh there. Those sentences I just showed you are literal, Steve. So you are saying that not only are we using those words, but we are using the actual correct way of expressing what is happening with those words.
It's actually happening. What you're saying is it's like saying, we are now live across the world teaching English to millions of people.
Yes.
Actually, that's a lie.
It is. It is a lie.
To maybe several hundred people.
Yes. We're actually talking to ourselves. A metaphor is often used as a way of emphasizing the seriousness of something. So you might want to make your point. You might want to say something, but it's not necessarily the thing that is actually happening. But you want to use a word that somehow makes that thing seem more serious or important. So a metaphor is often used. We speak figuratively as a way of emphasizing the seriousness of something. A strong emotional response. Here's a good one. I like this one, Steve. He kicked me in the teeth. He kicked me in the teeth. Now this is not literal. A person is not kicking another person in the teeth with their foot.
It could be true, though, couldn't it?
Yes, but I'm now talking figuratively.
Okay.
So in a figurative sense, we can say that a person has maybe betrayed you. They've gone against your trust. They've done something against you. You trusted that person, but they misled you. They lied to you. We can say that that person kicked you in the teeth. It feels like that. It feels like you've been really hurt.
Felt like a kick in the teeth.
Yes. So even though that sounds quite violent, we are saying that that person deceived me. They tricked me. They led me to believe something.
Maybe you were going for a job and your co-worker at work said that they weren't going for that particular promotion. And then you suddenly find out that they've got the job instead of you, and they went behind your back and secretly went for that interview and got the job. You could say it felt like a kick in the teeth because you might have helped them in something. You know, you might have been a good co-worker.
Yes.
And you could say it felt like a kick in the teeth.
So I think that's a very good example of figurative speech. You are not being kicked in the teeth, but we use the expression to show that you've been really hurt by what that person did. They really hurt me. They deceived me. They made a promise and then they removed that promise.
Your boss at work says to you, if you do all this extra work, work nights, I'll give you a pay rise. So you do all that extra work, you do the project, and then at the end of the year, you ask for the pay rise. And they say, sorry, no, I can't give you a pay rise. We haven't got enough money for that. You could say that felt like a kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
You were betrayed. Your boss lied to you.
Yes.
To get you to do more work.
But not literally.
Yes.
Here's another one. She shouted her head off. It's a good one. So we use this one quite often. Parts of your body falling off or exploding. We often use in a figurative way. So this is a good one. She shouted her head off.
Or he.
Yes, well, yes, of course. I'm. If you will notice that I'm doing he and then she and then he, so the examples will alternate. I'm trying my best not to let anyone down. Please don't cancel me. Please don't do a Bill Murray on me. She shouted her head off. She screamed loudly. But, of course, her head did not fall off. We are using it figuratively to show that she was shouting very loudly. She was screaming at the top of her voice.
So much so that potentially it could take your head off.
Yes.
But obviously it's an exaggeration, isn't it?
Yes.
To describe your reaction to something.
Yes. So quite often we do that. We will do that. We will often exaggerate. We use figurative speech as a way of doing that. Here's another one. An outstanding performance. Maybe you performed in a show and you did a really good job.
And everybody got up and standing ovations and they were clapping and cheering.
Like that.
Like that.
So, yes, maybe that is what is happening. So, a person who performed really well, an outstanding performance, he brought the house down. The applause was so loud, everyone was so excited by the performance that he brought the house down. He performed so well and the crowd were overwhelmed. They were applauding, they were standing on their chairs, they were waving, they were throwing their underwear.
Much so that that it actually destroyed the fabric of the building.
But it didn't.
You can also say raise the roof.
Yes.
As well. Somebody's performance is so good that the audience cheered so much the performer raised the roof of the building.
Yes.
Such was their performance that the powerful singing, it raised the roof. with their performance. Obviously, it didn't literally happen. It was figurative.
Yes. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about using metaphors and making figurative.
Oh, here's a good one. Jack, she blew my socks off.
Yes.
You might have that one coming, but that's a good one.
Mm.
Yes. You looked at somebody, they were so beautiful. She blew my socks off.
Mm.
Or somebody could give you a gift.
Yes.
And you're so, it's just like a cartoon, isn't it? It's almost like you can envisage a cartoon where you are so taken aback, so glad and welcomed by what's happened that you're just so surprised it's just blown your socks off.
Yes.
You can't believe it's happened.
Science will often blow your socks off because something you learn, something you discover. Maybe you go along to the Hadron Collider, the big CERN collider, and you can see those little tiny things colliding like that. And you go, wow, that blew my socks off.
I'm doing fine, thanks, Tomek. Thank you for asking. It's always Tomek or Pedro that asks how I am.
I will be honest, I feel a lot better. This may be the medicine that I need.
I wasn't asking about you.
Spending time with you.
I was asking about me.
Generally. Here we go. Here's another one. The feeling of hopelessness. This is what I've had all week. I'm standing on a cliff edge. I'm standing on a cliff edge.
Or I feel like I'm standing on a cliff edge.
Yes. But that's it, you see. You say that, but you're not really. You're not really high up on a cliff edge. But you feel like it. You are expressing the desperation, the hopelessness that you feel inside.
Something, that's an expression you would use if something, you feel as though something bad is going to happen at any moment. The stock markets feel like they're on a cliff edge is something that was used this Friday, just gone. In fact, it felt like they'd fallen off a cliff edge. Yes, it's a metaphor to describe something bad happening, something dropping suddenly.
Yes. There's no way out.
Yes.
There's no way out. There's no way back. You are on a cliff edge. The only way is to step forward. And we all know how that will end. Not very.
You can step back from the cliff edge, can't you?
You will
in a conflict.
You will be like the snail.
Situation.
The use of metaphors is often seen in literature. And yes, you will. Especially things like poetry or prose, you will often see metaphors or figurative speech because you want to bring that sensation. You are trying to bring forth an emotion through words. Written, quite often, you will see poetry will quite often use alliteration or figurative speech using metaphors. So yes, it will happen quite often. His heart was broken into 1,000 pieces. Of course it wasn't. It wasn't. Figuratively, it was. We are saying that he was so devastated because the lovely lady did not want to be with him. His heart was broken into 1,000 pieces because he was spurned by the lady. She did not want to hold his hand. His heart was broken into 1,000 pieces.
Not literally, but it probably felt like it.
Death is often used as a metaphor as well. We use it quite a lot, in fact. An embarrassing moment might make you feel as if you are going to die. We often use that figuratively. I almost died when she walked in, or when he walked in. I almost died. So something you were not expecting, Steve. We've all been there. We've all been in situations where we feel like that thing is so embarrassing, or that surprise is so shocking that you feel like you are going to die. It's such a surprise. I almost died when he walked in. You nearly gave me a heart attack. We use this one a lot. A person shocks you. They give you a surprise. you're not having a heart attack, and the person is not giving you a heart attack, but you like to show that thing was very surprising and shocking.
Yes.
You nearly gave me a heart attack.
It's a form of exaggeration to express how you feel.
Hmm.
Somebody could come up and surprise you. That something unexpected happens, and you can say, "Oh, I thought I was going to have a heart attack."
Yes.
Why did you do that? Somebody could, boo, come up to you like that, couldn't they, suddenly? And you weren't expecting it to happen, and it might shock you to the extent that you use a phrase like that to describe how you feel.
Yes. You nearly gave me a heart attack. Or, like me this week, I came back from the dead. I was ill all week, feeling so poorly and weak, but I am back from the dead. It means that I was really so ill and so unwell. I couldn't move. I was in bed. I was lying there. Mr. Steve was bringing me food. He was feeding it straight into my mouth. The only thing I objected to was the fact he was chewing it first, like a bird.
Well, you were so weak.
Yeah, so he was chewing the food and then spitting it into my mouth. But it was all right. It was okay.
Is that a metaphor?
It's a metaphor.
You were speaking figuratively there, not literally.
Not literally. So, he is back from the dead means he has recovered from his illness. But he's not really back from the dead, because then he would be a zombie. And as we all know, that's not good. It's not a good thing, to be honest.
I mentioned something somebody else has put in.
Yes.
Jack, again, says, thank you for this. I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
That means you are doing something maybe in desperation, or maybe with no preparation, or maybe in a situation where an emergency is taking place. You are doing it by the seat of your pants.
Yes, you're on the edge. You've been tasked to do something, and you've had no time to prepare for it, or you haven't prepared for it. You might have had time to prepare. Like suddenly you're asked to give a speech with very little preparation, and you say, "Oh, I feel like I'm flying by the seat of my pants." So in other words, you're keeping going, but you might appear to be all right, but you feel as though you really are on the edge.
Yeah, you are using your wits, your natural abilities to get you through that difficult moment.
You've got no protection around you. You haven't got. If you're in an aeroplane, you'd be protected by the structure of the aeroplane. But if you're flying without that, then you're flying by your pants.
Yeah.
Seat of your pants. You've got no protection. You're totally exposed.
A strong performance can also be related to words connected to death or being made dead. He killed the audience last night. He killed the audience last night. That doesn't mean that he killed the audience. That means he did such an amazing job. His act was incredible. He killed the audience last night. He killed them. They were so overwhelmed. His performance was vivid and powerful. He killed the audience.
Someone could say, how did your talk go to the company bosses? And you could say, I killed. You can just shorten it to I killed.
Yes.
In other words, you did a very good job.
But
they'd got nothing to come back with you to say. Everything you said was just right. It was perfect. They'd got no criticism at all.
And here's the other one. I think we had this mentioned earlier with blowing your socks off. The audience was blown away. To be blown away means to be surprised or overwhelmed or impressed. You are blown away by something. That's incredible. Blown away. So not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean you are being blown across the garden or over the house, but you are impressed, something has really impressed you. It has.
Yes, that wedding reception, it was the best I've ever seen. It blew me away. It doesn't have to be somebody's individual performance, but it could be used to describe that. I blew them away with my presentation.
A violent act might be used figuratively. An unexpected, cruel action. My pay cut was a huge kick in the balls. Ooh. But we do use that expression,
Yes.
and it is part of the English language. A lot of people will say it. Something that is painful, something that, again, it's very similar to being kicked in the teeth.
Yes.
Very similar. So your pay cut was a huge kick in the balls. You find that thing offensive and upsetting.
And painful.
You feel as if you've been somehow, I don't know, offended by it. It's very upsetting. It is something that you see as a setback. It is a kick.
You would use that expression. You would probably choose who you would use that, because that's a more impactful. To say I feel as though I've been kicked in the teeth is fairly, it's unoffensive. But if you were to say I feel like I've been kicked in the balls, that might offend some people.
Yes.
So that's a sort of a...
It is a little bit crude.
It's a bit crude.
But you will be amazed how often people say that. It's a
yes.
very common one. You might threaten to kick someone in the balls.
We've got one from...
but you're not going to. But
No.
you just want to get back at them. You want to somehow get revenge. You want to. I'm going to give him a kick in the balls, like that.
Tom has given us one here to steal the show.
Oh yes,
That's a good one if someone's performing, and maybe there are a number of performers. Maybe it's a play or a production, and there are lots of different actors and performers, but one person stands out and gets all the applause and it gets all the attention. They steal the show. They're stealing it from everybody else, from all the other performers. It could be something at work. You could be giving presentations at work, and there could be a group of you all presenting something, but you do the best you do the best one. You get all the laughs, you get all the reactions. They stole the show, or I stole the show with my wonderful performance. It doesn't have to be on the stage.
So it can be used negatively or positively.
That's right.
If somebody took your glory away, you might say they stole the show from me. It's not very nice, really. Here's another one, Steve, using a little bit of crude language for a Sunday afternoon. To get someone to work harder, he needs a good kick up the arse. Oh,
or backside.
I've had many bosses when I was young. They were literally lining up, Steve, to kick me up the arse.
Sure, that's all they wanted to do.
Yes. Well, mainly. So if you want to encourage someone, maybe they're being lazy in their job. Maybe they're not pulling their weight. That's a good one. See, there's another one. See, that's figurative. A person who pulls their weight is a person who does their share of the work. To get someone to work harder, you might have to kick them up the ass.
Or up the backside.
Or up the backside or up the arse. But you will find that this is the one that a lot of people use because it's a little crude, naughty, and it gets more attention.
Yes,
you see.
If you don't work hard, I'm going to give you a good kick up the backside.
Go on, say arse.
I don't want to.
Oh.
It's a bit rude.
See, in case his mum's listening, you see.
She isn't.
Because she will give him a kick up the arse next week when he goes to see.
Yeah, we all need that from time to time.
Yes, it's true.
Your boss, from time to time, when you're slacking off at work, will give you a good kick up the arse. There we go. I've said it.
Oh.
Kick up the backside is a less crude way of saying it. The impression, they're not going to literally kick you. It's figurative.
It's in the English language. If it's in the English language, we will talk about it.
Here's a good one. I've got some steal your thunder. Or steal one's thunder.
Yes.
From Zarifgat. Thank you for that.
So to steal something, quite often we can say that you took something away from a person, not necessarily an object or something of value, but you might steal their glory.
Yes.
Very similar to what we just said about stealing the show.
You might be going to a party, and you might be hosting that party, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You might have said, "I'm having a party," and then you wear a nice outfit, but then somebody else comes along and they try to go one better by having a totally over-the-top outfit. So you could be could happen at a wedding as well. Somebody could come and try and outdo the way that the bride is dressed, and you could say that they're stealing their thunder. You know, they've deliberately done something to try and upstage. There's another expression.
Yes.
If you upstage somebody, you get the attention. You take the attention away from somebody, but yes, exactly. So
Yes.
thank you for that one.
That's it.
To steal your thunder, it means that you've said something or done something, and somebody comes along and tries to go one better, and get and make out that they're better than you. Steal your thunder.
Hello, Jack. Jack Zoo. Or Jack Zoo. Yes, no, I think I pronounced that right the first time. She made my heart sing. Yes, your heart is not actually singing because it can't, you see. It can make a little bum, 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 bum noise, but it can't sing. But maybe if a person makes you happy or makes you feel overjoyed, you can say that your heart will sing because you feel so happy. Some other literal words. Steve, you were going to say?
No, I'm just trying to understand what... and so in a breakup, it is used when he was kicked in the... Rosa, I'm not quite sure what you mean there. Do you mean a breakup in a relationship? When someone break up, is it used, he was kicked...
Well, you can dump someone, dump them. That's a great one. So maybe if you have some rubbish that you don't need or something you don't want, you throw it away. You will dump that thing. So maybe a boy will be dumped by his girlfriend because she doesn't want to see him anymore. She's found a much more handsome man, more wealthy maybe. So she dumps her boyfriend. She dumps the guy. And he feels very sad about it.
Beatrice has got a good one. Butterflies in your stomach.
That's a good one.
You're nervous about something, nervous about a presentation, nervous about a wedding, nervous, anything you're nervous about. You get that funny feeling of nerves, and they describe it as butterflies in your tummy. You haven't literally got butterflies in your tummy.
No.
You're using that expression to describe that you're feeling a little anxious, a bit nervous about something you've got to do.
Here are some words that are literal, but we often use also figuratively. For example, Steve, to fall, or to crash, to slip, or to drop. So all of those things can be actual things that are happening: fall, crash, slip, drop. But also we can use them figuratively as well. So they are not necessarily always used literally. She fell head over heels for him. She fell head over heels. It doesn't mean that she did fall and she went over and over, but it means that she lost control of her emotions. Her emotions were overwhelming. She fell head over heels for him. The interview was a car crash.
Yeah. So you had a job interview and it went very badly wrong. You
Yes.
could describe it as a car crash.
Yes. So a car crash interview is an interview that went really badly. Maybe the questions were difficult and the person being interviewed couldn't answer them, or maybe they said something embarrassing. We have one or two politicians at the moment here in England who often go on television and they talk about things, but then they realise that they have no idea what they're talking about. And then later the interview will be described as a car crash because it was a disaster. I slipped up by lying. I slipped up. If you slip up, it means you make a mistake, an error. Maybe you did something and you were trying to keep it a secret, but you slipped up. You made an error of judgment. You slipped up by lying. My mistake was that I did not tell the truth. And on this list, I almost dropped him. It means to hit someone. So if you hit a person, you drop them. You drop them. You hit the person and then quite often they will fall. They will fall to the ground or fall over. I almost dropped him. Quite often used when we are expressing the urge to be violent.
Here's one from Tomek, to be in the dark.
Oh, yes.
Thank you for that one.
Yes.
Yes, if you're in the dark, it means that you don't know something. There's a bit of knowledge that you haven't got. I'm trying to think of an example.
You are actually being excluded. You are being kept in the dark, something you are unaware of. So it is often used negatively, isn't it?
It is. There might be a subject that you don't know anything about. For example, construction. I don't know anything about how to build something. And you could say, oh, I'm a bit in the dark on that subject. I don't know anything about it. It just means you don't know anything about something. But yes, so thank you for that. To be in the dark about something. As you say, to be kept in the dark. We're going to keep a Bill in the dark about that one.
It's always Bill.
Yes. It means that you're not going to tell a particular person some information. You don't want them to know about it. Keep them in the dark about that. Don't tell them.
We are approaching the end, Steve.
Okay.
An exaggeration often comes in the form of a figurative sentence. So quite often we will exaggerate things. We will make something seem more serious or more important. We want maybe to get some sympathy because we've been in bed all week feeling unwell, like me, is what I'm saying. An exaggeration often comes in the form of a figurative sentence. I suppose another word we often use these days is hyperbole. Hyperbole may be the figurative use of something because you want to exaggerate. You want to exaggerate the feeling or the response. And this is it, the final bit. As my stream starts to break down for some reason, I don't know why, I'm getting a yellow thing coming up. I wonder what that means. That's not good.
If we go suddenly, then you'll know why.
Yes, if we suddenly disappear, I think we have. I think we may have disappeared, Steve. Oh, no, I think we're back. I think we are back. Well, that came at the right time. So an exaggeration often comes in the form of a figurative sentence. That is it.
We've got another one from Tomek. I'm over the moon.
Over the moon.
That means you are extremely happy. I'm over the moon. I don't know where that comes from, but if you're really happy about something, you've just had a pay rise, you can say, I'm over the moon. Thank you very much.
You feel ecstatic.
Yes. Let's hope you are all over the moon by watching us today.
Yes. So we are having a slight connection problem, so I think this is a good time to go. I will be honest with you. Just before my computer completely gives up the ghost. Oh, that's a good one as well.
Gives up the ghost, yes.
To completely fail or die or stop working completely. It gives up the ghost.
Well, you've got some work to do, Mr. Duncan, to sort out your technical issues.
I have.
I have got some work to do in the kitchen by making us a cup of tea.
Oh, I am so thirsty.
And you ought to eat something. He doesn't eat anything. He needs to build his strength back up.
I do.
Lovely to see you all. And hopefully see you all again. Same time, same place. Next week.
Mm-hmm.
Have a lovely week. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Steve. And he is now going into the kitchen. Mr. Steve is leaving the building. Well, is leaving my room anyway. Thank you, Steve. And also, can I say thank you as well for joining me today. We've had one or two technical problems, but I think we have managed to ride the storm. You see? See, that is another figurative expression. If you ride the storm, it means you have made it through all of the difficulties, not necessarily in a ship on the ocean. Oh, that's a good time to come. Interesting. That was easy. Thank you very much for your company today. Nice to see you today. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's great being back. It was nice that I was able to crawl out of my deathbed today and be with you for the past 2 hours. Incredible. Thank you very much. And of course, as I always say, I like being here with you, and I hope you enjoy being here with me. We both have a good time, I hope. Thank you very much for your company. I probably won't be here tomorrow. I am going to take a little rest tomorrow, and then I will see how I feel. I don't want to do too much, because if I push myself too much, then I will make myself ill again. And I don't want to be ill, to be honest. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this live stream. And yes, I will see you back here very soon. Hopefully, I will be 100% well. And also, I hope my computer will also be working at 100%. Thanks for your company today. It's a beautiful day. I might go into the garden and drink my tea outside. Thanks for watching. See you soon. This is Mr. Duncan in England saying thank you very much for joining me. Take care. And of course, until the next time we meet here, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Stay happy, stay safe, keep that smile upon your face as you walk amongst the human race. And of course, ta-ta for now.